Hi everyone and welcome to Baja, the last seasonal championship in spring of Series 7 in Forza Horizon 5. The car restrictions for this champ are Buggies in D-Class, and again it doesn't leave us a whole lot of choice of cars. There's exactly two Buggies in the game, both are Volkswagens, so I'm driving this Baja Bug here, and actually originally I wanted to drive the Desert Dingo because I did use the Bug quite a few times before and never actually got to drive the Dingo. Unfortunately, that didn't quite work for me well. I tried several tunes, but all of them, for whatever reason, were prone to flipping the car in tight corners like this. I will try to edit some of that footage afterwards because I believe it's quite hilarious when your car suddenly decides to flip over sideways mostly in the middle of the race. But while that is quite funny to see, it's not something I can recommend as a good racing experience. So I ran out of time and patience for my trials and switched back to something I know works, and that is this Baja Bug. We are currently in the 4th position, as you can see, driving pretty well. There's no significant problems. It will take some time to catch up with AIs, but as you can see, up in 3rd there's only 2 guys ahead, and I'm continuing to narrow the gap to them. I expect the gap to become even smaller once we pass that last corner here, because AI always brakes there while you can go flat out. Yeah, the gap is really small, so I expect to be ahead of all of them momentarily or quite shortly. Now speeds in D-Class are much lower than in all other classes, so it takes a while for anything really to happen. The races take quite some time, and yeah, catching up as well. So past one, a little bit of a contact sideways, but passing another here. The speeds are so low. Oh, actually he doesn't want to be passed, but that's okay, we'll make it stick right here. So when you drive this car in D-Class, the speeds are so low that you actually barely ever need to brake. Literally, the car loses power and speed immediately after you lift off, and even just cornering makes it go quite a bit slower. So with exception of a few tighter corners or the corner like this, you don't need to brake, and that's what gives you an edge over AI really a lot, because they tend to brake all the time for whatever reason. Yeah, but that's something you observed many times before. So the second of the endless 3 laps is over. Funny enough, while driving, actually it doesn't look that or feel that slow and long. The car is pretty fun to drive with all the jumps, you know, the suspension playing around, the dust coming from your wheels, and obviously the corners on this Horizon Baja circuit are quite fun to do, but overall I realize it's not the fastest class, so the races tend to last longer, which I guess explains why we don't see a lot of D-Class or even C-Class racing in festival playlists, though every now and then, like this week, there is a bunch of those at the same time. I actually wonder why they tend to pack similar or same class together in the same playlist. I would probably rather go with 3 different classes or more for different challenges, because we normally have 2 or 3 seasonal championships, the trial, and a few other challenges in a week, so why not mix them up? But hey, I'm not a game designer or event designer for playground games. I guess they know a little bit better, and probably they have a lot of data about what people do, which challenges are being used more or less. With that, the first race is finished and we'll proceed to the second. I'm not yet sure what that is. I never made past the first race in the prep. Alright, now we are on Baja California Trail. As you can imagine from the name of the event, the word Baja keeps popping up all the time. And it's actually interesting, these cars, the Baja bug, because obviously it's not a production car. It's not something Volkswagen would manufacture in the factory. Even back in the 60s, if I understand right, they all appeared as enthusiasts' own builds, and original builds weren't even so much of a build, rather than a strip out of all unnecessary parts from the production bug, making suspension higher, the wheels bigger, and keeping engine without a cover to help with air cooling. That was how they were made originally, but the design got so popular that soon after a lot more enthusiasts started doing the same, and there were a bunch of companies afterwards doing special body kits and conversion kits to take your bug and make it into the dune flyer like this. While I was talking about the history of the car, we managed to pass everybody, and now riding through the sandstorm completely alone with all AIs somewhere, well, not too far behind actually. I guess with D class it's a little bit harder to build a massive gap on the track, or I don't know, maybe they are surprisingly fast today, but nonetheless we are well ahead, and I don't think AI will pose any threat to our first place at all. The car overall drives really nicely. Again, despite the low speed, it's actually a funky vehicle to drive. If not for a length of races, it could be quite popular. I think they should introduce a bunch of shorter sprints and circuits, and allow D-class builds to be fun in them, because obviously, well, try to do a Titan or Goliath in a D-class and you'll never want to get back to it again, but no, general racing, it's pretty fun. The final straight of the race, we will be finishing it momentarily, and I think the third one was a trail again, so a sprint race rather than circuit, which cuts off some time. Running 3 laps is usually longer than even longer one of sprints. Under 3 minutes for this race. It was 4.5 for the previous one. Let's go to the race number 3 now. Yep, I remembered correctly. The last race is indeed a sprint on DZR Trail. So off we go for the race number 3 of the last championship of this series, really. We are going to switch seasons this Thursday and move from Ferrari takeover into the German cars, which should be quite interesting and fun. But for now, we still need to deal with this DZR Trail. So on the inside, a little bit off-roading here, just to avoid any collisions. We have enough speed to attack everyone, and up in the third place. Oh wow, a little bit of action in the corner, but that's fine. The AI tried to attack me on the inside, but that didn't quite work. So now I need to try to avoid the walls. A little bit of contact here, but we're gonna pass him right now. Lost the rear quite a bit, so that should have costed me a few tenths, but that's not gonna change the outcome. We are chasing after the first place, and as you can see, he's braking a lot in every corner, so we should be able to pass in this corner. Yep, job's done. leading the race as we would expect. About, what was it, 35% into the race, I guess, one third. That's quite fine for the D class. Sometimes you get absolutely dominant car in tune versus AIs and actually manage to overtake everybody before it hits even 20%, but not this time, I guess. Nonetheless, the tune provides everything we need to win these races, and as long as yeah, okay, barely made it, but of course there was a very slow path through the corner. This is not Horizon Baja circuit where you don't need to brake. You actually need to use your brakes a little bit here, but overall, again, nice and easy in the sunset race of Mexico. Should be finishing the race quite soon. This area under the bridge actually reminds me of something in Forza Horizon 4, but I can't quite remember which track, and maybe I'm actually glitching. I didn't run Horizon 4 for a long time now. I think I did a few just refreshing runs immediately before Horizon 5 was released, but before that I had a hiatus of about a year, I guess, that I didn't play any Forza. Nonetheless, I am really enjoying the Forza Horizon 5 so far, and it's been, what, good half a year since the release, so that's alright. And we are finishing the last race in the first place with a little bit of stylish drift in under 3 minutes. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.